What is the first plot point of your story? What makes the story element so compelling? The first plot point is the impossible choice. The part of the story where our hero must choose what to do next with no clear path forward. Why does this choice matter? And what becomes of our hero after they finally decide? Welcome to Writing Quest. Hello everyone and welcome to Writing Quest. My name is Brennan Pugh, and in today's episode we're going to be talking about the first plot point, what it is, why it matters, and where we are at with our story. But first, let's talk about what it is before we get into everything else. Stick around to the end of the video. We'll talk about the progress of the story, the progress of the book, where we're at, and the plans going forward. So here we go. Huzzah! Okay, so basically what the first plot point is it's the impossible choice. It's where they have to take the events of the inciting incident, and then they have to take everything that happened during the buildup, and finally it comes down to the wire where they have to decide what to do next, and they don't know what to do. Where they're presented with multiple options, 2 or 3 or 4 options, and they have to just decide. And there's no right answer, and there's probably a wrong answer, but there's no clear answer, which therefore makes it an impossible choice. During that build-up part is where you kind of build on their internal fear and kind of deconstruct that for them and really build up the tension for them. And then during the first plot point, that all comes crashing down and they finally have to decide. And they have to either, it's pain versus pain, as Abby Emmons likes to say. You just have to lunge forward into the abyss. It'll pretty much always leave your protagonist in a bad place at the beginning of Act 2. So at the beginning of Act 2, they'll be in this place of, I made a bad decision and everything sucks and I don't know what to do and it's all a mess. That's, you're just, that whole first act takes you to a point where once you hit Act 2, they're on the journey, but everything's a mess. I would say the first plot point to me is a pretty crucial part because you do some more foreshadowing, such as the buildup, but this is where you start to sort of foreshadow what the enemy is going to be and what's going to be going on towards the future, and you're pushing forward with that. But ultimately what it really does is it fractures friendships, it tears down their beliefs of what they believe about life so far. So how does that relate to our story? Well, here we go. So for Ro, the first plot point really is the moment where it comes to a head with her relationship with the wolves and her relationship with her people. It's kind of that forbidden love story, the Romeo and Juliet of sorts, where she knows what she's supposed to do, and that's what we've been building to this whole time. She knows what she's supposed to do, and she knows she's kind of doing the wrong thing, but she also kind of feels like it's the right thing. And now that's all going to really clash. So we're going to have a moment where she starts to develop her powers a little bit. So she kind of feels some stuff from her powers, which is going to scare her because she's not going to really know what that is. And all of a sudden it's going to happen briefly and she's going to panic. And so she's going to try to avoid the wolves. And then the wolves keep kind of coming back and following her. So she finally has to confront them to tell them to leave her alone. But then she's going to get caught by Guyan. It's going to be this whole moment where she's going to have to decide, is she going to stick with her story or is she going to join the wolves, and how is that all reconciled? It's going to basically be that whole mess coming to fruition. It pays off eventually, and when we get to the first pinch point, which will be right after this, which we'll get to in another video. But the choice is going to present itself to her in this first plot point of what is she going to do with these two entities of her life. So for Artemis, his first plot point is a little different in that, his is going to be more of an emotional choice. So I have a note down that I need to strengthen this a little, but currently where I'm sitting at with him is he's going to have lost his staff, which is that last connection to his family. And, he had a moment with his brother where they've reconciled a little bit, so that's better. He's really feeling the fear of, I don't have this last relic of my family. I have lost this connection. I've clearly failed in leading my people the way that I was supposed to. So his first plot point is an impossible choice emotionally, in that he has to decide to press on anyways. I do want to strengthen this a little. I'm kind of looking for what's the external thing that clashes with this internal thing, because I really think that makes things stronger. The internal thing has got to be the basis, but then what's the external that's pushing on that? But for him, I do think his journey at this point is very emotional, and we're going to be kind of building that emotion for him, that inner turmoil, because he's going to be a character that's going to have to, he's going to teeter on the edge of good and bad. What is he going to become? And so in this story, that's his journey from this point on is very emotional. So what is his inner conflict? What is he dealing with on the inside? His self-talk, what happens on the outside that affects how he talks to himself on the inside. I haven't found the external thing that presses on that. I think it's probably going to just be, the events that happen to the group as they travel. He's going to have that kind of, everything might fall apart or fail or not quite work, or it's going to be hard or something. And all those things are just going to eat away at him at his kind of sanity, I guess. And then finally, Guyan, his first plot point is essentially going to be learning to trust the elves. So in the build-up and in the whole first act of this, we've kind of had the elves show up, and the elves are kind of helping out the villagers and helping out the high people. And his impossible choice is going to be letting them help, letting them kind of, realizing it's emotional for him too, in the sense that he's got to realize that he can't do this on his own anymore, and that he needs help in protecting his people, because that's his whole thing. His whole thing is, I am the strong knight and I should be able to protect my people on my own. But in this particular moment, he's going to realize that he does not. He can't do it. He can't solve the problem. And so he's going to have to lean on this group that he doesn't really know, doesn't really trust, and is not him. That's going to be a pretty big moment for him, along with having to deal with, Artemis is struggling with what does he do? He's having his own emotional battle. And so the brothers can't rely on each other. And they're trying to do this impossible task of getting all of their people to a safe place. That's essentially the breakdown for all the characters. I'm really excited about outlining this stuff. I'm getting really close on the outline. As far as how the book goes, the word count's the same because I haven't started writing again. I've just been focusing solely on the outline, and it's been a hard process. It's been hard to not want to write those words down. But ultimately, based on where I'm at with the outline so far, I'm feeling like the story is becoming really strong, and I'm really feeling quite confident in it. I'm excited about that. So I would say that the outline is about 60% at this point. I've passed over the Act 2. I'm into Act 3, just working on those final climactic moments, and I've come up with a couple of doozies, so I'm excited to talk about that when we get to those plot points. And so thank you for watching. I'm really excited about this story. I hope you are too. Put a comment below and smash that like button, and we will see you next time on Writing Quest. Huzzah!